Maybe a moment of silence for Kalyee and all the victims in this Idaho 4 case. I could just cry. Seriously. Seriously. All right. So, I've got a lot to talk about today. And I always like to start my videos with saying, like, the date maybe. Today is June 8th, I'm pretty sure. It's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's Thursday. Yes, it's June 8th. That is Kaylee's birthday. Absolutely devastating. So, um, we need justice for these victims and justice for these families. That's all I can really say about that, obviously. So, this case is just a roller coaster ride. There's so many crazy factors, you guys. Please hit your like button. Where'd it go? I'm hiding it. There's your like button. Hit that, please. Share, subscribe, ring your notification bell, if you please. Everything I say is simply my opinion. It's simply for the sake of conversation. I hope to open up a discussion and be educational. Hope to learn something. And yeah, my videos are all made for YouTube specifically, and it's an entertainment platform. So here we go. I've got 7 things on my agenda for today. Kaylee's birthday was the very first one, of course. I wanted to address 3 community posts that I put up last night. One was about a mini series called, it's about Pamela Huff, and I think it's called something about Pam. It's similar to something about Mary. The Thing About Pam. That's what it's called. It's a mini series. It's on Amazon Prime. It's really good. It's true crime. It's terrible, but it's produced, and Renee Zellweger both stars in it and produced it. And it's just really good, just showing you the shenanigans and the effery that criminals will go to, the lengths that they will go to try to continue to gaslight everybody, law enforcement, the world, friends and family, maybe themselves. I don't know. If you really get inside someone's head, I mean, denial's pretty serious. The third community post, the first one was about Kaylee's birthday, Pamela Huff. And then the third one is about some photographs that started circulating yesterday. I'm sure you've seen them by now. Margaret Atwood and our criminal defendant, Kohberger, in the same room. Looks like potentially a lecture hall or a seminar or some type of academic situation. And to me, it looks very photoshopped. Both Atwood looks photoshopped and Kohberger looks photoshopped. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on these things by any means. Um, it's interesting. He's holding a book on his lap with both hands, like he's all excited. He's like this, and it's The Handmaid's Tale. So if he's such a misogynistic F-wad, why is he reading a book by one of the most brilliant feminist authors of all time, in my opinion, who is light years ahead of her time? Just a thought, just a thought. But if you look at that photograph, she's wearing a big red scarf with big giant polka dots on it. And it almost looks like she has a halo behind her head. I think it maybe is supposed to be like a person standing behind her wearing a white shirt, but that's where it looks photoshopped. If you Google Margaret Atwood, you will see her in that red scarf. And she does wear a lot of red scarves, but that one in particular with the giant polka dots is something that she seemed to wear for some professional photo shoots. So I'm thinking that they just lifted that image of her off of some of her portfolio photographs and then, put Kohberger's head on this very buff guy who's holding the Handmaid's Tale. I call that a guy like that a snag, sensitive new age guy. Anyway, I don't think it's Kohberger. It could be. I think it would be pretty, actually, kind of cool if it was, as long as he is innocent of what he's being charged with, which honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea. He may be and he may not be, but we've got to let the jury decide. We've got to let this case go to trial. Um, the last 6 months has been a non-stop fishing expedition for the prosecution to build a case, to tarnish his character, to plant seeds of doubt, to gather every little piece of information on the defendant, every noogie he's given, every weird thing he's ever said or done to anybody. You guys, like, still, they can't seem to find anything. With a 6 month fishing expedition, there's some little oddities, but honestly, he's got a pretty clean record, other than like running a red light, which he didn't get the ticket for, and driving without a seatbelt in Moscow. And then, of course, the tailgating, but he didn't get tickets for that either. We know that he does like to wear gloves, and some people have a big issue with that. Um, and that he cleans his house at night, or he would clean in his apartment at night, and some people think that's just nuts. Okay. Let's get on with some of these issues that I wanted to mention. The Psi Beta fraternity. I caught in a Zav Girl episode from about 6 days ago. It was a 45-minute what do we know about Koberger? I think I put the link to it in one of my videos yesterday or a couple days ago, but I will go ahead and put that link in today. So if you're interested, it's a 45-minute video of clips of people talking about Brian Koberger. And at one point, somebody mentions that he was in a fraternity at DeSales University, the Psi Beta, which is like a psychology fraternity. If he was involved with that prior to his doctoral program, was he still involved with that? Did he have some involvement with the Greek system that has been on the down low that the universities don't want anybody to know about? It's a thought, isn't it? Um, I can't believe I've forgotten to mention this to you guys the last few videos I've made. Have you Googled Idaho 4 and looked at the WikiLeaks, or sorry, Wikipedia? It's not the most reliable source. It's kind of like Google. Like, it can be very informative and it can also have a lot of bias, in my opinion. If you look at the Wikipedia of Idaho 4, it says that it happened between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. And I find that ludicrous for many reasons. A, number one, you'd never see a time in a Wikipedia of that type of thing. You never see an actual timestamp. Number two, let's just keep talking about that. Number two is there hasn't been a trial yet. Like, you can't establish facts without the trial. And number three, it just makes me think more than ever that this is bogus. 100% bogus. It's almost, in my opinion, it's like they've given themselves away by being so specific in the Wikipedia. Plus, it didn't happen between 4 and 4:25 as far as all the information goes, if you are familiar with it. It was more like 4:06 to 4:16. So why? Weird, 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 weird for so many reasons. So the next thing I want to talk about that I think is extremely important, I mentioned it yesterday, um, the terrible, tragic um, assault that the 18-year-old victim, the student at Wazoo, suffered from a police officer while he was on duty, while she was in custody. And this was a Pullman police officer. around 2018, I think is when it happened. Um, she was a freshman at the University of Washington, and she was intoxicated. He interacted with her. He told her to stay home. I think he gave her a ride home. And then he saw her again and he had his way with her. And it's so gross. He was terminated. He was put through a criminal trial. There was a mistrial, and she couldn't proceed with it any further. If you know some of the details about that case, I've read up on it a lot. I'll try to put a couple of links in the description if you're interested in looking into that. Um, so Dan Hargraves was the sergeant from Pullman who assaulted her. And it's so, so, so disgusting. It's just awful. But Matthew Kuhrt was there with the two of them. I think he was the one who took her into custody the second time, and then Dan Hargraves got involved. So Matthew Kuhrt is the fella who resigned from Moscow PD. No, sorry, Wazoo. Let me keep all my facts straight. Matthew Kuhrt resigned from Wazoo on November 4th of 2022 after he had gotten the entire command staff relieved of their duties. Technically, they resigned, pretty much forced resignation for the chief, the assistant chief, and the captain, all in one fell swoop this last summer of 2022. That's when Wazoo hired Chief Jenkins. We all know that Chief, I think it's Gary Jenkins, is the man who interviewed the criminal defendant on like a 45-minute Zoom meeting, to my understanding, on April 12th, 2022. Then we've all probably seen the lovely little positive emails that they sent back and forth to each other that day. Really looking forward to what the future held as far as how could they work together. Koberger was one of only 4 applicants. And then lo and behold, the Pullman PD has no record of anything after April 12th. There's no way they have no record. There's absolutely zero chance. So, how are we supposed to trust law enforcement when they lie about the stupidest things like that? Like, they could just say, we're not at liberty to discuss it. We're not going to disclose what the outcome was. Like, that's all you get is up until April 12th. Sorry, not sorry, right? Okay. I think I only have one more thing, kind of running by things quickly, but I just want to touch on that briefly because I don't know with that 18-year-old victim and Dan Hargraves if it was more than just Dan that was involved. So Matthew Kuhrt was forced to resign November 4th, 2022, for his sexual indiscretions, sexual misconduct for that had been going on for years, but I think it was 2020 when somebody called dispatch and said, how do I make a complaint against him? Somebody who he'd had relations with on campus while on duty. These people, it's unreal, isn't it? I can't imagine. I've been to Pullman and I've said this a couple of times. I don't like to go there, but it is known throughout Washington state as the town of R.A.P. And the last letter is what? The 5th letter in the alphabet? It's known as that town, you guys. And 35 years ago, when I was around that campus, I would think that it was the frat boys that were responsible for that. Come to find out that it's law enforcement. As an adult, that makes a lot more sense because if it wasn't law enforcement, they would be arresting the frat boys and putting an end to it. This is the culture of Pullman. Pullman and Moscow, although they're 7 miles apart, about roughly, and in two separate states, people from each community consider it one community, just one end of the community and the other end of the community. So, in a lot of ways, they're super similar. In some ways, there's some differences. Somebody put in my comment section yesterday that, oh, well, the University of Idaho is a party school too. Yeah, I know every school's a party school. I mean, I've personally never seen a college or a university that wasn't a party school, but that's just me, right? You see what you're looking for? Anyway, the last thing that I wanted to talk about before I wrap up for today is this Ohio case that happened in the high schools of Ohio several years back. Again, I'll put a link. It's atrocious. It's Steubenville. If you're familiar with the Steubenville case, another essay, multiple essay, one victim, and these boys got away with it until cyber sleuths happened upon the case. And these cyber sleuths got a hold of it and they wouldn't let it go. And two of the perps got charged in a court of law. There's probably others that didn't get charged, but my point is that cyber sleuthing, when I first read about that, it's like, who are these cyber sleuths? Where do they have the time and the inclination to do this? And I want to bring it up because with the Kalyee Rodney case, with the Idaho 4, with any case that I cover, I feel like there's so much value in fighting for these victims that can't fight for themselves, not just for their honor, but for the safety of all of us. If we allow these things to slide by and for people to go without punishment, it's not safe for anybody. Seriously, think about it. It's not safe for anybody. And personally, I'm not going to live in a world like that. And I'm not going to let my kids grow up in a world like that, period. So I'm going to say peace out. Have a great afternoon. Sending you light and love. I hope that you can get some exercise, some sunshine and fresh air, relaxation. Make sure you get your rest. That is the most important thing. Probably second only to your veggies, right? Um, Hydration, always, always, always. High protein and just kindness. A little goes a long way. It's very contagious. So peace out. Thanks for watching. Share, subscribe, ring your notification bell, hit that like button on the way out if you haven't yet. I appreciate your watching and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much. Have a great day.